All right, we're live, and
We've got a whole, 4 people in the chat room.
yeah, I am. Yeah, like I said, it's behind this week. For some meta talk for our non-listeners at the moment, or people who listen to the very beginning of the video podcast, we're a little late because I had to re-record our sponsor spot because I've been saying Linode wrong for about a year. It's not Linode, it's Linode. So if I ever say Linode, somebody yell at me because that's not right. It's Linode. Get it set up here.
Hey, I don't know if my audio is coming through. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Yes, you can hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
I changed some. I changed so everything was working.
Why does the screen keep turning off? All right. Make sure we're good for recording. Test 1, 2. Okay, that looks good. All right. I think we are. I think we're ready. As soon as I press the share button.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you socialed.
And I just asked myself that, so. Okay, make sure everything's silenced. All right, let me go ahead and start the recording again. All right, and I'm going to do the pre-roll because I believe we have a this week. Let me double check that actually. Even though we're already late. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. I'll do the pre-roll, and then we'll get started. This week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Linode. Check them out at linode.com/Android Police and get a free $20 Linode service credit.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, July 14th, 2016. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Reddick.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
And I'm Cody Toombs.
All right, guys. So, hey, we got some stuff to talk about. Let's talk about it. Okay, so last week we talked a little bit about Nexus phones, or I'm sorry, Nexus watches, or they probably won't be called Nexus.
Maybe they will.
Maybe they will. Maybe the phones won't be called Nexus anymore, but the watches will. Maybe it will be the Nexus. The Nexuses of Nexus. Nexi. But anyways, 2 new watches coming up. David did his best last week to give you a verbal description of what they look like. We've got renders on the website that someone made to hopefully give you a better idea. I don't know. Have you guys? What's the feedback been on the design of the Android Wear watches?
I mean, people seem to love them, but then again, they're just watches. They look like watches to me, so people seem to be accepting that state of affairs.
I mean, people are mainly just happy that they don't have flat tire screens.
That's true. Although it's possible that the smaller one has a sort of phony flat tire where, like, instead of having a flat tire, they just made the circle smaller to accommodate the pieces that they need on the display panel to be sitting on the front.
That would make sense if it has the smaller lug.
Yeah, so we'll see. Then again, both of these could just be designs that never actually end up seeing the light of day, or maybe only one of them will, or, hard to say. But that's what the things that we saw look like. So there you go.
So I'm actually intrigued by the watch faces. Specifically, the watch face on the larger of the two.
Well, I mean, it's basically just a evolution of complications as they currently exist on Wear 2.0. So it's the one on the left is like complications overload, all the complications.
All the time.
One might call it complicated. And the one on the right is much more complications as they currently exist. In fact, it is exactly as they currently exist, as far as I can tell. Except there's actually a message count icon on the top one and a mail count on the right one, and I'm not sure complications currently do that for specific apps.
They can. Yeah, I'm not sure if those apps have been updated to do it though.
Okay.
To be fair, at least that one, it may be a clone of existing complications, but seriously, that watch face looks so much better. All the complications watch face they have now is just terribly ugly.
Yeah, it is quite ugly. I definitely agree with that. Especially, I tried to. So what you can do with it in the newest Wear preview is there's now a new complication. It's not actually new so much as they took the background selector and made it a complication. And you can select, like you could, the Google Photos, or now there's one for album art for currently playing music. And if you don't have any currently playing music, it just shows the standard watch face background. But if you select the white style for the watch face, it keeps the design of the hands even when you have the photos background enabled, which makes the hands basically impossible to see because they're black. And I don't know. There's just a lot of, like, they clearly have not finished figuring out how all of these things interact and need to work to look nice together.
Well, they did call them complications. It's almost like they gave themselves an excuse for not getting.
Is that a term in the watch community? Is that watch vernacular?
I believe
Yeah,
it is.
that's exactly right.
Okay. I'm not a watch guy.
Yeah, in like regular watches, things like anything past, I think it's the hour hand and mid hand, are considered complications. So the date, the second hand, any other weird thing it does.
Okay, then that would make sense then. So yeah, this is what they could look like. It's also what they may not look like. It's also, we don't know, but it is what we can say with confidence is that Google was considering these watch designs at some point.
There you have it.
There, yeah.
All right, so there you have it. So Nexus phones obviously coming soon as well. We had an announcement this week about an upcoming Qualcomm Snapdragon 821 processor. Not really upcoming because they announced it, so it's kind of currently coming here-ish. But I guess we're feeling pretty good about the likelihood that the Nexus phones are going to have the 821, right?
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the most likely scenario, I would say. Unless Qualcomm goes and announces another 820 series chip in the next probably couple months, it's probably a good bet that this is what the Nexus phones will use. And based on Qualcomm's description of it being 10% faster and optimized, blah, 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 it basically just sounds like, a simple, a major revision to the 820 chip, basically. So probably all the same pieces and parts for the most part, just done with, the knowledge that comes with having products on the market for a while now to figure out what needs to be fixed and addressed. So seems likely that the Nexus phones will both have this chip. That's what we think. I'm pretty confident. I would say I'm very, very confident that Sailfish will have this chip. Marlin we're a little less certain about, but I would still say we're pretty confident it's going to have this chip too. So maybe they'd vary in clock speed between the two of them. I mean, that's possible, considering one has a 1080p display to drive versus 2K on the larger phone. So maybe that'd be a thing. But I don't know. We'll have to see.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but Nexus phones have never really been like flagship devices for any processors before, right? So,
I'm not sure. People always say that, and I'm not sure how true that really is. Because the Nexus 4 had some wackadoo Qualcomm processor when it came out. It was like a Snapdragon.
S4 Pro.
But it wasn't, though, because it was an APQ chip that had a discrete radio. So it was something weird. But they called it an S4 Pro, I think, or something. And didn't the Nexus 6? The Nexus 6 basically had the best Qualcomm chip you get at the time. And so did the 6P. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
weren't
think
the first
they
with
weren't. Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, they just weren't the first. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out if
this time they would theoretically. Well, I mean, it depends when they launch. I guess when they actually release to the market. So they could be among the very first 821 devices. I mean, which maybe would be more of a first. I don't know.
All right, so we had an update rollout for Hangouts this week. While everybody's kind of sitting around waiting for Allo and Duo to release, we're getting updates to Hangouts that have things that maybe Hangouts should have had all along. In this case, video messaging, officially marketing. Just in time for people to get excited about not using it anymore, they're releasing the features.
So, Matt, you were getting drowned out a little bit by some electrical or fan noise? I can't really quite tell.
Electrical or fan noise?
Yeah. It's like a
It
loud
just sounded like
whooshing.
it went silent.
Yeah. Is it maybe your laptop fan? I don't know.
I'm not using a laptop. My desk is on the floor, not even on the desk.
That is weird.
Well, it's not happening right now, so let's hope it never happens again.
Okay. Yeah, so Hangouts 11 adds video message if you care. I don't know necessarily why you would care, other than the fact that you can say it feature parity with iOS now. Which, okay. At this point, everybody's just like, please give us Allo now.
Right. So how long has that been available on iOS?
Quite a while, since Hangouts 9, I want to say, on iOS or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that. It's been a few months.
I think it's been like
two.
I think it's been like 6 months. It's been a while. Because I remember when I first saw that.
Has it been that long?
I think it's been quite some time. But granted, I don't know how many people would actually use this. So, I mean, the video messaging and all this kind of stuff seems much more the domain of the dedicated messaging services like Telegram and Line and WhatsApp and stuff. Those seem much better suited to this kind of communication. Whereas for Hangouts, it's like, well, it's there because we've heard that apps do this. So there, we do the thing that apps do. Isn't that nice? So there's no inline video playback. You have to play it back in a separate app, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it just kind of makes it feel like, we tried.
Maybe it was just kind of half baked, and then they just said, you know what, we're gonna get replaced soon, so we might as well just give them what we got.
Yeah, maybe. That's sad.
It's very sad. It's very depressing.
Okay, so this is strictly for video, right? And I know they've had audio messaging of some kind for a little while. Like, at this stage, why are there not file attachments? Why can't you just send, like, any kind of file?
Because that would just make way too much sense. It would be too easy.
I mean, the problem is that Google would have to have some sort of, like, cloud storage platform.
They would.
I mean, that's just a whole nother thing they have to do.
And that storage platform would need some sort of API, which would be incredible. That's just, well, we can dream, I guess.
Someday.
Hey, but you can send links to files on some cloud platforms. That's got to be close.
You can copy your Dropbox links into Hangouts. I think that's about as close to Hangouts file sharing as you're getting right now.
In fact, you know what? In fact, when you hit the share button in Dropbox, Hangouts is one of the options. So
there you go.
Pretty much have it.
Problem solved.
All right, so August 2nd is coming up quick. Of course, we've known for a while that Samsung intends to announce the Galaxy Note 7 on August 2nd. It appears as though it's official now because invites have been sent. So yeah, Note 7, August 2nd. Anything else to say about that?
I feel like Samsung's spacebar broke when they were naming the phone because there's no space between Note and 7.
No space on any of their previous devices, have they?
I think the last couple of Notes have been like that, and they do other weird like punctuation things, but I don't know. I find it very odd. But yeah, but they are definitely going with Note 7. There's no such thing as a Note 6.
But we do seem to have some information via some pictures that were shared that the Note 7 will feature the much rumored iris scanning feature, which from the screenshots that showed up, it looks to me like face unlock, which basically is to say that it looks to me like something that nobody will use after maybe the first initial "that was cool, it worked."
Yeah, that's pretty plausible. I mean, they've been rumoring this for at least 2 or 3 years, and it's never happened on any of Samsung's phones, probably because it just doesn't work very well. Even now, I would be surprised if it works well enough that it supports things like Android Pay. I mean, I assume that it probably won't count as a proper secure lock method.
Pay with your eyeballs. I wonder how it works. I wonder whether if they're using some kind of bespoke sensor, or whether this is just through the front-facing camera and maybe a IR light or something to make the sensor be able to see the reflections off your irises or something. I don't know. And also, iris sensors universally do not work well with glasses. Haven't really been able to figure that whole thing out with light bouncing off of reflective surfaces yet. So yeah, that, and I remember the last time I saw. Well, we talked about this last week, I guess. There was this. I think it was Fujitsu that was putting on this demo for an iris scanner, and it required extensive additional hardware. It was very fast, but it also looked very expensive. There are a lot of extra pieces going on, and it was, not the sort of thing that one extra little black circle on the front of your phone is going to solve. It didn't look like, at least. So I'd be curious to see what Samsung's implementation looks like. We'll hopefully have a chance in the near future to see that ourselves, I hope. So, also, Sam Mobile reported, and I think probably reliably on this, that Samsung plans to launch the Note 7 the day they announce it. So the day it's announced, you will be able to supposedly order one, at least in some locations. So that's August 2nd, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we just basically learn all the things on that day.
All right. Well, I feel like we're at the word from our sponsors part, but I feel like this is really early in the show for a word from our sponsors.
It is a little early for a word. Maybe we could take the word back an item, and then insert the word.
Let's move the word. The word.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk about. I didn't see this. I'm going to remove that item there, so we can talk about the 2 hot sheet items, and then go to the word, and then go to product reviews and emails.
Yes. So the products that we're going to talk about in the hot sheet this week are both Moto products. So of course the Moto E, the 2016 version, was announced this week. It's bigger.
Today, in fact, as we're recording this.
Right.
Yes. Although. Motorola, because we are in America, Motorola doesn't actually want to talk about this phone. It was very weird. They only sent the PR to UK-based publications, and when I asked them for it, they deflected. They were we're not talking about the Moto E in the US. And I was like, I know, but I mean, people from the UK can read our website, so can I please have the PR?
You know how websites work?
Yeah, I know. So they are launching this only in the UK. They have no plans to do anyplace else. They explicitly said we are focusing on the Moto G in the U.S. So do not expect to have a 2016 Moto E ever launch here. I mean, there's a certain amount of ambiguity in the way they said it. I mean, maybe they'll change their focus later, but for the time being, there is no launch for this phone in the U.S. It is slightly bigger than last year's Moto E. It's 5 inches. It has a quad-core processor of some sort that they did not talk about, and I mean it looks a lot like the new Moto G. But yeah, people in the UK will be able to order it in September for £99.
The UK is an odd place to launch it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there's not really any good market penetration for Motorola in the UK that I'm aware of. I'm guessing, I would probably guess that that's the reason, that's probably their most popular phone there, would be the Moto E, so maybe that's why they're launching it. We have to keep our dirty American hands off the Moto E, though, I guess.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much hasn't, like, the UK and Europe at large been the market for the Moto E all along, and we've still talked about it? I feel like this isn't a drastic change, other than now they're just saying don't talk about it.
I think that it was more heavily targeted at Southeast Asia than anywhere, especially India.
Well, I mean, this might just be because the Moto G has been selling so well in India that they figure they could just, go with that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like a very interesting phone. It's a Moto E. Yeah, I don't see a lot of major advancements in the $99 phone space in the last year. So.
I mean, we should just be happy that there is a $99 phone space.
It's got a pretty big battery for a 4.5-inch phone. I'll say that.
Oh, what was it? It was like 2,800 or something.
Yeah, 2,800 milliamp hours. I'm getting
that's pretty big.
some audio feedback here.
That's bigger than the Moto Z.
Oh, it is. That's hilarious.
That is.
Oh wait, no. So it's a 5-inch display. I'm sorry. So I was looking at the wrong thing.
Oh,
it's
okay.
4.5 last this year.
Still, though, that's sad for the Moto Z.
It is sad for the Moto Z.
Yeah. Yeah, all sorts of sounds now.
I think that was from Cody. I just muted him. I think he can unmute himself because it won't let me unmute him. Which makes sense that you can't unmute somebody as the administrator. There were some very loud noises coming from some fan noises, I think.
That's weird.
The fan has moved to your home. It was here.
Yeah. Some.
Or this might just be Hangouts being a piece of junk again.
It is very possible it was just Hangouts being Hangouts.
We're actually hearing the processor fan for the server that Hangouts. So yeah, go ahead. We got Moto Z stuff, I guess.
Man, we are having all sort of audio weirdness, and we're also having a weird delay, I feel like, too, this week. It feels slower than normal.
Well, that's Hangouts.
I guess. It's really bugging me.
Let's forge ahead.
Yeah. So the Moto Z, both Ryan and I sent our Moto Z over to Facundo to do some video work on. I have the Moto Z Force.
If you're watching the video, I'm holding up the Moto Z edgewise right now. It is super duper thin.
It is like crazy thin.
It is. I mean, like when you pick it up and it's kind of impressive. You're like, this can't be a whole phone, but it is. And then you realize, oh, but the battery is only the 2,600 milliamp hours. What the hell? Smaller than the 2016 Moto E, as we've just realized. But for I think between $60 and $80, depending on the version you want. They'll sell you the battery mod because it's got the modular backplate, these little pins down at the bottom where they connect. So you just drop it on there, and now your phone is like super thick and heavy, but it runs for a very long time.
Yeah, so the mod adds 2,200 milliamp hours of battery, so you go up to 4,800 total, which is a lot, definitely.
Yes. And then on the Force, that battery I think is 3,500 internal.
Yes.
So then that's 57, I guess.
Yeah, but that also makes your phone over 14 millimeters thick, which is like going back to 2010. So
yeah, it's not the sort of thing you're going to carry in your pocket all the time. But I mean, the way the battery mod works is actually kind of cool. When you plug it in, the phone gets a second little battery meter at the very top there, and it shows you the charge level of the battery, like the battery mod and the internal battery. And you can set it to only charge the phone up to 80%, so it doesn't like keep trickle charging it over and over again forever, and and lessening the lifespan of the battery. So that's neat. If you're in a situation where you just like need a ton of battery life, then sure, I guess go for it. And then the phone, I guess the review units came with these. I don't know if they ever said that they'll for sure come with the style covers when you buy them. But it's just like a wood veneer that sticks to the back of the phone with magnets like the mods do. It doesn't add anything except it just makes it look not unfinished because it looks like they just got like halfway done like designing the phone and they're like, that's actually good. We'll just leave the back like that. It doesn't look right to me.
It's all just a conspiracy to sell you stuff.
I know.
I'm so over pretending that this whole thing is not like it's like 80% it's just about getting you to buy something else.
Yeah, okay, here's the thing. So you can get this giant battery mod, and that's nice. You want to add an extended battery, but what if the phone were just a little bit thicker, like a normal phone thickness, and had a reasonably sized battery in the first place? That would be nice. And then who's gonna buy the projector? Nobody. Who's gonna buy the speaker? Probably almost nobody. What other crazy things do they have? Did they announce any more?
Yeah, they haven't announced any more. You've got the speaker, you've got the battery, you've got the projector, and you've got the style cases. So the style cases, I
have yet to see any compelling reason to design the phone like this.
I don't really get it either.
And
it's just
the camera hump is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's still huge on the Force too, because they felt like it had to look the same, and the same reason that there's no headphone jack.
The mods fit exactly around it, so the camera hump keeps them from sliding around, unless you are using the phone apparently, because yours just slide and click and make stupid noises.
Yeah, I mean, and all of them do it on mine. I mean, your battery one's got to do it because they all of mine make noise.
I mean, how hard are you pushing?
Not
to
very
make it?
hard.
I mean, I have mine right up against the microphone. It doesn't really. I don't know.
You got to push down a little bit, and then side to side.
Is there? This is so stupid. We're all just sitting here on a podcast, and people are listening to. We're rubbing our phones, trying to get through the noise. I like mine. I don't know. Mine doesn't do it as much. Maybe there's some sort of difference in air pressure where we both are.
Or maybe I just got crappy phones. Motorola's going to send me some new style covers because they think mine are defective. I think that the phones just aren't sized as accurately to fit as they think they are. Because all of mine definitely do it to some extent. And that would actually bug me over time with the style cover, because when you pick up the phone, you can feel it shift around when you grip it a little bit, and it makes it feel like it's a crappy phone. Which is mostly, it's psychological. It doesn't actually matter. It's just kind of annoying. And then you have these incredibly thin phones and then style covers, which are meant to cover the camera hump and make it look flush, essentially. Basically just point out, we could have made it 2 millimeters thicker and increased the size of the battery, but we decided to do this fat camera hump thing instead. Yeah, it looks great.
And like maybe they could have put the fingerprint sensor back there and still had a dimple like they should have. I don't know why they're suddenly pretending that's not a good design decision or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, my first impressions are they're fine as phones. The whole mod thing seems like a total gimmick.
Yeah, I mean it's at least they're giving it more of a try than LG has been.
I was going to say the only beneficial thing that I think I could say about them from what I've heard so far is that they at least seem like they're doing better than LG.
I mean they've announced more things than LG has.
The faintest of praise. You guys did it better than the guys who did it pretty bad. So, yeah. The battery cover thing is the one that they'll sell the most of without a doubt. The speaker, I guess they'll probably sell some. They'll sell no projectors and.
Let's be clear, the battery one is the one that they will sell. It is the only one that they will sell.
Yeah, because people want more battery life.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some people want big speakers on their phone. Some, not many. Nobody that I have ever met actually wants a projector in their phone.
Yeah, I still don't get the use case for that whole thing. Like, if I was going to have a Pico projector that I was going to use with my phone, the ideal scenario would be it's something I put in my bag and communicates wirelessly, or at least with an easy cable attachment setup.
Yes,
because
you don't have to hover directly over top of it, tapping at the screen.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous that this is the way they've chosen to do it, but they seem so invested in the design and the concept that they're willing to justify almost anything.
I feel like you could probably get a cheap projector and hook a Chromecast up to it, and it would still cost half the amount of this mod.
Yeah. But mini Pico projectors universally kind of suck, and this one sucks too. So it's.
Does this one not suck? I mean, if I bought one for $99 off of Amazon, would it be any worse than that one?
I don't know. It might actually be better because this one's only 480p. I don't know where 720p Pico projectors start at on the open market. I was under the impression it was like $200 or something, but I don't know. We'll have a review up in the next week-ish probably.
Yeah,
I wasn't supposed to say that. Week-ish. There's tentatively in
maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3.
Yeah, it could
maybe
be a
month.
vicinity of weeks. As Google would say, in the coming
weeks.
weeks.
Of weeks. Yeah.
Yes.
Even if that number is 1, some number of them.
All right. Now we have the new spot where our word from our sponsor is. We've reached that point. So.
This week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Linode. Linode has hosted AndroidPolice.com for over 6 years now. Not only are we very happy with their service, we're extremely proud to have them as a sponsor here on the show. And as part of our partnership, you, our listeners, can get a free $20 Linode service credit today just by signing up at linode.com/AndroidPolice. That's L-I, N as in no, O, D as in dog, E.com/AndroidPolice. That is a no-strings-attached $20 service credit that you can use today to get a server up and running. Now, what do you get for $20? Well, you could get 2 months of service on Linode's base tier, which gets you a server with 2 gigs of RAM, 1 CPU core, 24 gigs of storage, 2 terabytes of transfer capacity, 40 gigs per second communication inside the network, and 125 megabits per second out. If you need something more robust, well, Linode's got you covered. Their servers go all the way up to 120 gigabytes of RAM, 20 CPU cores, 1920 gigabytes of SSD storage, 20 terabytes of transfer capacity, and 10 gigabits per second outside the network communication speed. So Linode has pretty much anyone covered that needs a powerful server. So if you head to linode.com/AndroidPolice, you can check them out. They have add-on services you'd expect as well, backups, node balancers, and Longview, and basically everything you need to get a server up and running right now. So go ahead and check them out. And thanks again to Linode for sponsoring the show.
Right. Thank you, Linode. Not Linode, for sponsoring the show this week. We have product reviews coming up. We're going to start off with the Prime exclusive $60 smartphone, which David's been using for. Well, you're going to use it for a month. How far in are you so far, David?
A week.
Are you going to make it a month?
Yeah, we'll see. It's getting so I'm a week in. So on day one, it's pretty great. Yeah, the phone was pretty quick. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. I do have an issue where Google Fit just crashes for no reason all the time. Anytime I open it, Google Fit just crashes. Probably because it's just Google Fit, and that's what Google Fit does. But other than that, things have been pretty stable. It does play Pokemon Go, although a bit less reliably than the Moto G4 Plus I've also been carrying around. So
The AR doesn't work, right?
it doesn't, because it doesn't have a gyroscope, I don't think. So it doesn't support that. So, my thoughts so far, the Amazon ad experience is not nearly as annoying as you would expect. It's only on the lock screen, and it's so easy to ignore. I know some people get super annoyed by ads, but this to me is not upsetting at all. It's just Amazon stuff. So Amazon's like trying to sell you a leaf blower or a romance novel on the lock screen.
Yeah,
it's just like going to Amazon's website.
That's not really that's really like not upsetting in the grand scheme of ads. Like if it were trying to push crappy free-to-play games on me every time I unlocked the phone, that would probably annoy me.
Yeah, it's not trying to do that. It's not, eventually I would not be surprised if they try to push the App Store. In fact, I am deeply surprised this phone does not have the Amazon App Store preloaded on it.
Really?
Or does it? Did I just disable it? Hold on, let me check here.
They have the Amazon app version that has the App Store in it.
Oh, okay, so that's why I haven't noticed it. That makes sense. So they're even courteous about hiding their stupid App Store. That's good. So, overall, the Amazon side of the thing, you disable the apps, and most of the preload apps, once you disable them, the original version has almost no space used. They're basically placeholder icons.
And, the preloaded apps, even, I'm sure a lot of people will want to keep them, and it's not as bad as, a Verizon phone. Verizon phones have way more bloatware than this.
Yeah, some of these things are, services actual human beings use, so that's helpful. Compared to what you get on a Verizon or AT&T phone. So
Verizon preloads all the Amazon crap anyways, right? So you get Amazon stuff on a Verizon phone in addition to whatever they decided to give you.
Yeah, they do actually. So that's a good point. So I'm getting I can't do this anymore. I'm getting echo from somebody. Somebody's speakers are feeding back into, so it's got to be Matt's.
All right, I'm gonna mute my microphone. Tell me if it goes away.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. No. Wait. It's got to be okay. Who has their speakers on? Does somebody have their speakers and their headphones on?
No.
Hold on. Talk.
No, because I heard Ryan echo too.
No, my speakers are not making any noise.
Hold on. I'm gonna mute Cody and see if that does it. Muting Cody has solved a lot of problems.
I could have muted.
Okay, test. It's Cody.
Cody.
What have you done? Somehow
I can't imagine how. I'm listening on both sides. I've only got that sound coming through here. I'll disconnect and reconnect. Maybe it's just hanging out. It's being stupid.
I'm sure it probably is.
Okay. Anyway, the blue phone so far, it's $60 if you're an Amazon Prime member, and I asked Amazon about this. It will stay $60 into perpetuity for Prime members, apparently.
And that is a crazy good deal.
It is. It's a crazy good deal, and it's a phone that, if you broke your phone and you're like, I gotta live with another phone for 3 months before something new comes out, you could totally do it with this phone. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. That said, some problems I've had. I've missed a few calls that just didn't seem to come through. Maybe the phone just didn't have reception in my pocket or something, and that's been kind of weird. The Wi-Fi signal range on this phone is absolutely abysmal. The worst I've ever seen on a smartphone, without a shadow of a doubt. So I just disable Wi-Fi on it, unless I'm downloading apps and I'm at my desk. It doesn't do 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi either, so it has to do 2.4, which is suboptimal on my router. Network connection speeds have been okay. The issue I have is that it sometimes doesn't correctly. It falls back to HSPA for some reason a lot of times, and it won't go back to LTE, which is kind of frustrating. So that's been a little bit of an issue. It's gotten slower in the last week, like significantly. Like it's getting annoying to use. But again, if you're patient, you can deal with it. Nothing seems fatally broken on it. I think the camera's actually surprisingly decent too. The rear camera, not bad. I mean, in some conditions, it's going to give you crappy photos. In low light, the shutter needs to get so slow that you get blur a lot of times. But I mean, in good lighting, camera's pretty decent. Overall, I'm still largely impressed with the phone. Also, it takes forever to charge. Forever. It probably takes like 3 hours to fully charge this phone, because the maximum charging speed it'll get with a third-party charger is like, I think it's like 3.5 or 3.8 watts, which is nothing. So the included charger goes up to 5.5 watts, which will charge you in probably a little over 2 hours from zero. But yeah, that's my experience so far. My next post on this will probably go up tomorrow, with some more coherent structuring of my gripes.
So I'm just curious, is the reason for the 1 month approach to this review is just because it's kind of a phone that we just know isn't going to be great, so let's just torture David as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, that, and I don't think the new Nexus phones will be out by the time I'm done, so a month sounds about as good as anything. Yeah, I've been using it for all kinds of stuff. I've basically been using it for everything, and it hasn't failed me in any truly awful way. It's usable. The screen's actually pretty good, too. I mean, it's not like this is an objectively terrible phone.
I would just like to point out that you earlier said that sometimes you just don't know that you've missed phone calls, and that this phone hasn't failed you in any particular way.
Well, I know that I missed them because I get emails saying you missed a call, and I'm like, I don't remember getting a call, and there's nothing in the phone log.
That's an incredibly current times kind of a thing, because 5 years ago, if you'd have told me a phone sometimes doesn't tell me when I've got a call, then that would have been like an automatic disqualification for that phone.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Today it is significantly less of a concern.
Nobody uses their phone for phone calls.
Now that's not so much the fault of the phone as it is the fault of the person who's calling you on the phone. Like, what's the matter with that person? Why would someone do that?
Why do you just... Come on. So. All right, so next on the docket we have the Cat S60 Ultra Rugged Super Predator Vision phone that Ryan has been...
So this phone is gigantic. It's like 14 millimeters thick. It's made, huh?
It just looks like a giant spare battery. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's got a die-cast steel frame, and it weighs 222 grams. So I'm pretty sure that you could kill somebody with this phone. Like, if you had to, and I'm pretty sure it would work after too, because it's water resistant. So I assume that means blood too. And it's certainly it's not gonna fall apart. Its big claim to fame is that it's the first phone with a FLIR camera built in. So if you're watching the video, you can see there are 2 lenses on the back. One of those is a FLIR lepton sensor, and the other is a standard camera. So like the FLIR 1, it does this thing where it uses the visible light camera to overlay a contrast image on top of the thermal camera, so you get outlines of actual objects, which makes it a lot easier to interpret the thermal data, because otherwise you just get sort of colorful blobs. So I put a bunch of examples in the review if people want to go and look. I mean, it is pretty cool. There are a bunch of different filters you can do. It does point measurements of temperature. It saves all of the temperature data for every image that you capture, so you can go back later and change the location of the point sensor to see what temperature other things in the image were. I mean, it's waterproof up to 5 meters, but that's only if you flip these little switches, these little gold switches on the top and bottom of the phone, because those actually close off the speaker and the earpiece so that water can't seep in. But when you do that, you cannot hear anything. Like the audio quality becomes horrible. So that's why it's like you have to actually physically change the switches for that to work. And it's got this weird door on the back. And you saw there was a picture up on the screen a minute ago. But there's a door on the back where the SIM card and micro SD card are. It's just a very bizarre way to put those in the phone. I don't know why they're not just under a port cover. There are a bunch of port covers on the side of the phone already. Power button's on the wrong side. I don't understand that. It is on the left side top instead of the right side, like almost every other phone in the world. It has a configurable shortcut key, which is cool. It has an SOS button. I guess cool. I mean, this is obviously not a phone designed for regular people to buy. This is a phone that like a business would buy for people to use. Presumably a business where a thermal camera would come in handy. There's an API for the camera, so people can make apps that take advantage of it, so you don't have to just use the built-in thermal camera app. But I'm pretty sure that's mainly there so that businesses can create custom apps for their employees to use. I don't imagine there are going to be a lot of apps in the Play Store that specifically plug into the Cat S60's thermal camera. But it's not as obscenely expensive as I thought it was going to be. It's $600, unlocked. GSM works on AT&T and T-Mobile, and it's fun. It's a neat phone to play with, but probably not one that you should buy for yourself.
I would just like to say that this picture here looks like you've witnessed a homicide.
That is the hottest filter, so that just highlights the areas of the image that are the hottest, and everything else is grayscale. So yeah, the sidewalk and the asphalt were the hottest. Thus, that's where the murder took place.
That's where the murder took place.
That'd be some really hot blood. That person was suffering a catastrophic fever before they were murdered, and apparently after too.
Yeah, it just kept getting hotter after they bled everywhere. I don't know.
Oh, it was from the sun. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sure.
I would like to just give Cat some credit because they have reinvented the camera hump.
Yeah, it's got a bump like along the top of the phone. I mean, I guess it's there because they need the space for the lepton filter, but like I don't know why they couldn't just put both sensors down further so that the top of the phone was flat. It's a bizarre thing. I don't know. Maybe they just did it because they thought it would look cool, but it
kind of does
looks,
look kind of cool, I guess. I think it looks kind of cool.
I mean, I guess I don't know. It looks unexpected. I'll give them that. It looks unexpected.
Nobody expects.
It looks like the antenna bump.
Huh? Oh yeah, it's like it does it's like an antenna bump on like an old phone. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Doesn't look at this phone. Doesn't it look so familiar for business? So much
Keep
business.
cool. Totally think it's a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple of emails this week. To those next. So our first email is from Tom. So Tom is emailing about the OnePlus 3. Apparently, he and several other folks have found a serious issue where it doesn't have DOS implemented properly. So after apparently 8.5 minutes of inactivity, the phone stops communicating. This means no push notifications at all for apps like WhatsApp, email, Hangouts, Facebook, etc. The phone never comes out of DOS until the user unlocks the phone. Of course, when we do that, a deluge of alerts come flowing in. So apparently there's a thread on the OnePlus forum. So I don't know if you guys heard anything about a DOS issue with the OnePlus 3?
So I definitely believe that this concern is based on an actual bug that is happening, but for me it has not been anywhere near that consistent. I mean, the OnePlus 3 does do some weird things when it's in DOS. I mean, I have push bullet connected to all of my phones with desktop notifications. So I notice when one of my devices is like significantly behind the others because I'll see a notification from one and then like at some point later the same thing will pop up from another phone. The OnePlus 3 did seem like it was slower than other phones. And it did do this thing occasionally where it would not wake up to set off an alarm in the morning, but it's never been the sort of thing where I just like knew it was going to stop it was just going to go into doze mode and never wake up. And I've never and when it did do that, it seemed like it just sort of woke itself up eventually. So I mean, I know there's some sort of problem with it, but it hasn't been like destroying the experience for me. So I mean, I guess yes, Tom, the thing that is happening to you is a real problem, and OnePlus should fix it. But I mean, I don't know, and maybe it varies a lot from one device to the next, or depending on what you have installed. But for me, it was not like consistently like not doing anything when it was asleep.
All right, so our next email is from Brian, and Brian has 2 questions. So I'll start with question number 1. ZTE Axon 7 versus OP3, I'm assuming OnePlus 3, versus Nexus, Sailfish, or Marlin. I'm due for a new phone and waiting on the official announcements for the 2016 Nexus. But in the meanwhile, what do you think of these 3? Which is best and for whom?
I don't know, but my first thought is at least wait till the Nexus to be sure, because, yeah, I mean, we know they're going to be pretty good. They're not necessarily going to be that, the greatest thing on the market, but they're going to be good. There's going to be 2 price points.
I mean, they're going to have Android N, and I guarantee you neither the Axon 7 nor the OnePlus 3 will have Android N anytime close to when those phones
That is true. That is pretty much the ace up the sleeve for Nexus devices, because the Note 7 is going to come out. It's not going to have Android N. The new Alcatel phone is going to come out. It's not going to have Android N. Basically, anything that probably comes out before November is not going to have Android N. Maybe October. Maybe we'll see some stuff in October. But
yeah, I mean, the best you can hope for is a quick update. And as I pointed out in the OnePlus 3 review, one of the biggest impediments to actually recommending it is that they absolutely screwed up on the OnePlus 2 update cycle. Like, it was 8 months to get Marshmallow on that phone. If it is anything approaching that to get Android N on the OnePlus 3, then you will be kicking yourself.
yeah, I've heard ZTE was pretty decent on the updates for last year's Axon phones, but I'm not sure how long it actually took them to update them. But apparently they did. So it wouldn't be the worst bet. I mean, historically speaking, you probably couldn't do much worse in terms of time for update than OnePlus. But yeah, if you value getting the operating system update quickly, or just having a phone that ships with it, the next one's hard to argue with. That said, I would be deeply surprised if the 5.5-inch Marlin is $400. I don't think that's remotely likely. I think it's going to be $500, just like the 6P. And the smaller one probably $400 or something, maybe a little less than that. I don't think that a $400 price point is likely for the larger Nexus phone. It could be more than $500 for all we know.
All right, so Brian's second question, I guess Brian was just assuming that we would say Nexus, because his next question is, when buying a new Nexus phone, would you buy directly from Google Play or from Project Fi?
It just depends on the deals, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to use Fi and they start offering that $100 off or whatever they've been doing for the other Nexus phones, then why not? But
yeah, I'd say generally speaking, it's almost kind of a no-brainer. You want to get from Fi if there's even a chance you're going to use it. Like I bought my Nexus 6P off of Fi, and I still haven't activated service. I have the SIM card. I'm totally ready to use it if I decide to, but there's no real reason, and you never know if you're going to get a deal or something like that in there. Part of the question he also asked was or he mentioned that Project Fi doesn't have Nexus Protect, or rather the Play Store does offer it. Heads up, actually, Project Fi does offer Nexus Protect, or at least it did at one point for my 6P. I got an email saying, hey, you can activate it right now, and it was like 6 weeks or something after the Play Store started offering it. So
yeah, I remember that, because people were saying, oh, you can't get it, and then there was, I think we wrote about this, saying that Project Fi would get it, you just wouldn't get it immediately. You'd have a chance to sign up later.
Yeah,
exactly.
It seems like even so, if you get a deal on Project Fi where it's $100 off the phone. Well, you sign up for service and you use the service for 1 month. What's that? Some bucks, $30. You use your phone for a month. So I don't know. It really feels like you could end up with a much better deal, even if you did activate the service. Even if you didn't have to activate the service because it's contract free.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I guess it just depends on the economics. There's no good reason to buy from one over the other if it's the same price at the end of the day. So, yep.
All right, so our next email is a screenshot submission. We have not had a lot of these lately, so pull this bad boy up and see what we have to say. So this screenshot is from.
This is, I think, Action Launcher. It's got the action bar up at the top there, or the quick bar, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I am launcher stupid, so.
Yeah, I am okay with this icon pack. Seems all right.
Seems like somebody's doing a significant amount of emulation.
Yeah.
Also, I don't like that maps icon that removes the G.
Yeah, that is weird.
It's very strange. And so we've got looks like a DS emulator, and then a turntable, and then a gamepad. But maybe that's Google Play Games, and then that's a music app on the right of Google Play Games, and then the top right is, I don't know. These obscure icons confuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks fine. It's got a nice material-y wallpaper. I don't know if I like the color of the action bar at the top necessarily.
Yeah,
Also, it looks like based on the battery bar that we're running cyanogen or something here.
Yeah, Action Launcher colors that based on, usually on the background. I think you can set it to be that darker color too, so maybe he did that. But at any rate, I don't know, I like it. I like Action Launcher. The icons are fine. Good use of widgets. It gets 8 out of 10 materials.
8 out of 10.
I give this 7 out of 10. Hey, bro, what icon pack is that?
I give it 3 clean screens out of 4.
Okay, and as the only entrant this week, Robin wins.
You do. You win.
Robin wins. Congratulations, Robin. You will get your lack of prize in the mail.
Oh.
All right, so that's the last email for the day. We do have a contest going on right now, and for the next 30 some hours or so, the next bit, Mint Night Next Bit Robin, which is the mint with the black on the back, the hybrid. So one of those is up for grabs. It's a $299. So get yourself entered to win. If that interests you at all, it's 32 gigabytes, but it also has that whole cloud storage thing that Nextbit likes for some reason. So if you want to get yourself entered to win, androidpolice.com/contest is where you go to enter. There's a lot of different ways to enter, so make get as many entries as you can. Other than that, if you have any screens, questions, comments, concerns, podcast@androidpolice.com is how you get them over to us. You can also give us a call at 530-HELLO-AP. That is 530-435-5627. You can also find us on Twitter and Android Police and Google Plus and Facebook.
And thank you again to Oh, I almost did it. I was so close. Thank you again to Linode for sponsoring this week's podcast. Check them out at linode.com/AndroidPolice for a free $20 Linode service credit.
All right.
Catch myself there. Okay, I'm going to start the broadcast.